Welcome to Data and AI Summit. Welcome to Tuesday. Today's the first full day of breakout sessions, so really glad you're here joining us today. My name is Matt Jones with Databricks, joined by Raju Mudunuri from Lexmark. We're going to be giving a guide to data engineering on the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform. So you can kind of think of this as a level 150 overview of the platform. There's a lot of breadth we're going to get to, so we only have the opportunity to get so deep today. However, I'm going to be pointing to some of the deep dive sessions that we have on each parts of the platform that you'll want to attend later in the week to get more information, get more of those deep dive questions answered. So I'm going to kick us off by starting with kind of the strategic vision of how we think about data engineering at Databricks, why we've built the platform the way we have, a little bit about what the roadmap looks like, get into the nuts and bolts of data engineering with ingestion, transformation, orchestration, some of the tools that you can use for best practices there. I'm going to talk about data streaming, how that integrates into the data engineering platform, the foundation that the platform is built on, and then we'll talk about some of the really exciting data intelligence, or ways that we're bringing data intelligence into the platform through generative AI that understands your data. And then Raju's going to talk a little bit about Lexmark's data engineering journey with Databricks and how they've realized some of those intelligent data engineering benefits. This is a slide that you're going to see a lot of times over the course of Summit. It is our safe harbor statement. It simply says that everything here is informational purposes only, and you shouldn't make purchase decisions based on futures or roadmap stuff. That said, 95% of what we're going to be covering today is in the product. It's actionable, it's practical, it's stuff you can go use today. So we're not getting too futures with today's talk. So it's no secret that AI initiatives are top of mind. There are, most of your organizations are likely charging, headfirst towards a generative AI edict. We have data from Gartner that backs this up that says a couple years from now, over 80% of organizations are going to be using generative AI in production, and that's up from just 5% a year ago. So the urgency is not decelerating anytime soon, but these initiatives will only be as successful as the data that feeds them. Everybody here knows that you cannot have good AI without good data. A model is only as good as the data that's feeding it. And so when we talked to a series of data executives last year for the MIT Tech Review Insights Survey, we found 3/4 of them said that they agree with this statement, that data problems are the most likely factor to jeopardize their AI and ML goals. So 3 times as likely as everything else combined is the data. It's about the data, it's always been about the data. But as you know, it's difficult to build and operate data pipelines. It's not easy to ensure reliable pipelines delivering trustworthy data. And there's a multitude of reasons for this. You're not just having to worry about your code in production. You're having to worry about your data that is stored in your data lake. You're having to worry about your data that's stored in your data warehouse. You're having to worry about how you're managing streaming versus batch data pipelines for BI versus AI use cases. And then you get to like the deployment infrastructure and operations that you have to manage, the dependency management and backfill handling and so on and so on. There's a lot that goes into this. And because of the fragmented view of the data estate that many organizations have today, we see these 3 kind of primary pain points that folks have around building and operating data pipelines. And the first is just the issue of trustworthy data. If you don't have trustworthy data, hampers the effectiveness of your AI and BI initiatives. The second is it's difficult to maintain operational oversight across siloed data platforms. So not only does this increase risk because you're having to try to maintain centralized governance models across multiple environments, but it's also massively inefficient. And so you can't optimize for cost performance if you're managing across multiple copies of your data. And then finally, data engineering today is pretty over-dependent on a few highly skilled data engineers. And so in your organizations, you have a bottlenecked data value chain, and there's only so many people that can actually realize the value of high-quality data. and get value from it. So we believe that as a prerequisite, reliable data pipelines require a unified platform. And today, with generative AI, not just a unified platform, but a unified platform that has data intelligence built in, not just a bolt-on generative AI approach, but data intelligence that actually understands your unique enterprise data and semantics. And the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform provides that foundation. So it's built on lakehouse architecture. This ensures you have your data stored in one copy. You've got a unified governance model. It's one platform for all your data and AI. And then we've built in data intelligence to that platform. As a result, we believe the Databricks platform is the best place to do data engineering. So this unified architecture helps ensure reliable data that empowers your AI and BI initiatives. We have a litany of benchmarks that have demonstrated best-in-class cost performance, which helps you get more value from your data faster at lower cost. And then with data intelligence and generative AI, we are democratizing pipeline development through data intelligence. And so we're helping not just your data engineers be more productive with data pipelines, but we're helping all of your data professionals and even business users get access to the data they need to answer the questions they have. We have over 6,000 customers doing data engineering on Databricks today. Everybody from major enterprises to small digital native startups across all industries and verticals. And we've recently received some awesome recognition from the analysts as well. So both of these reports were just published in the last few months, but IDC recently recognized Databricks as the top streaming platform in terms of both current capabilities and future strategy. And then Forrester also scored Databricks as a leader in their wave for cloud data pipelines. So across streaming and data engineering, Databricks is loved by customers and recognized by analysts. So that's enough of marketing fluff. I'm going to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of data engineering and how we've actually built this on the platform. So I'm going to talk about ingestion, transformation, orchestration, and then streaming kind of woven throughout, but then for real-time processing versus less real-time use cases and how you'd want to think about that on the platform. So at Databricks, we've built simple, cost-effective ingestion for any persona. So of course, we've made it easy for your data engineers to declare ingestion in streaming or batch mode from the data sources they need. But we've also built ingestion experiences for people like analysts. Through just a few lines of SQL code, they can declare a streaming table that will bring in incremental data into the platform. And with streaming tables and materialized views, they can use that data right away without the assistance of a data engineer or a very light touch. And we have a no-code UI that's point and click, so even less technical users can access the data they need by just picking from a list of data sources. We offer native ingestion support for sources like cloud storage, databases, all the popular message buses, Kafka, Kinesis, and so on, and a couple business applications. Hint, hint, stay tuned for the data engineering keynote on Thursday and the ingestion section that comes later in that day. We've got some exciting announcements around that. But then we also support a large ecosystem of partner solutions. So I'm just going to show the Add Data UI. This is the point and click UI that we recently brought into the product, and you can see it's very easy to choose from the native sources. You can even work with free data from the Databricks marketplace, free data samples. And then like Fivetran here, which is one of the partners that we are connected very closely with in the data ecosystem. There's over 170 different data sources that you could choose from. So very, very easy to get the data you need, no matter what part of the data org you reside in. So ingestion, landing data into your platform, and then transformation would be things like cleaning, refining, augmenting, and aggregating for downstream use. And we kind of think about medallion architecture as the best practice for implementing an ingestion and transformation approach. So the bronze layer would be where you land your raw data, silver would be where you clean, filter, augment, join, et cetera, and gold would be your business level aggregates. That's just the data that you want your downstream lines of business using. And we've made a medallion architecture really simple to implement with a tool called Delta Live Tables, or DLT, which is kind of our opinionated data pipelining tool. And DLT is awesome for a few reasons. First, it makes for very simple development. So it's a declarative programming framework rather than imperative. The difference is declarative means you simply declare what you want the end state of a table or the pipeline to be, and Delta Live Tables will determine the optimal way to make that happen. It'll handle all the dependencies and all that. You can use this for common use cases like change data capture, slowly changing dimensions, and so on. And I'm going to show in the next few screenshots just how simple this is. And then one of the main reasons that customers love Delta Live Tables is the simple operations. So it handles all the infrastructure management, all the auto scaling, vertical and horizontal, automated orchestration, and then with serverless, fast startup and retries, incredibly fast. In fact, we've just started doing some benchmarks around the performance and cost gains that we've seen, rather cost decreases, not cost gains, that we've seen with serverless DLT as opposed to classic. And the initial benchmark that we have is 5 times better price performance just from migrating the infrastructure to serverless compute. So serverless DLT gives you 4 times better throughput with 32% less TCO than classic DLT. We're going to be GAing serverless DLT in about a month, so stay tuned for more info there. It's in preview right now. And definitely go to the DLT in-depth session on Wednesday if you want to learn more about those performance gains and benchmarks. So I'm going to walk through just a few screenshots of DLT to show how easy it is to build and operate data pipelines on Databricks. So this would be a look at how you would bring data into the bronze layer. And you can see we are in the workspace part of the UI. This is just a notebook where you are writing code in SQL or Python or your language of choice. And pipelines in DLT are primarily built, there's some nuance here, but they're primarily built from streaming tables and materialized views. Again, if you go to the DLT in-depth session, they'll explore that nuance a little more, a lot more actually. But for purposes of the talk today, there's 3 data sources that we're bringing in via streaming tables and materialized views. And for each of those data sources, it's as simple as 3 lines of SQL. Then we're applying some transformations as we carry this along to our silver layer. There we go. And you see we're aggregating a couple of those data sources. Sorry, the clicker's being a little slow. We're aggregating a couple of those data sources in this code block up top, and then we're carrying along that initial materialized view and applying some transformations in the code block on the bottom. Again, just a few lines of code. And then here's our gold layer. We have aggregated and consolidated this into 2 materialized views for downstream querying by your BI teams, for example. Again, just a few lines of code. So we've written the data pipeline. We're going to plug it into DLT now. So we're going to go to now the Delta Live Tables part of the UI, as you can see in the toolbar. I think the clicker is maybe low on battery, so I'm going to move to the, oh, there we go. So you will plug it into Delta Live Tables here and ask it to run the pipeline, and you see it'll literally infer the DAG for you. So it will take care of all the dependencies, and then you can select the deployment infrastructure, whether you want it to run in continuous or triggered mode, and so on. And then you can execute the pipeline, and then click into any stage of the pipeline and see, each of these stages was successful, but if it wasn't, you could troubleshoot very easily. And it takes care of all the dependencies for you. We also have a feature in DLT called expectations that allows you to kind of proactively manage for data quality. So you can set parameterized rules around records that you want to either exclude or quarantine for further analysis or log. And then you can monitor each stage of the pipeline, how many records were written versus how many were dropped based on the expectations that you set. I just wanted to show the pipeline settings real quick, just to show, I was talking about how great serverless is, just to show how easy it is to activate serverless compute for a pipeline. It's as simple as a single checkbox. You'll see below that, again, triggered versus continuous. If you're wanting to optimize a pipeline for latency, you might want to select continuous mode, so it's always ingesting and transforming data incrementally as it comes in. Versus if you have a pipeline that you only want to run once a day or once a week or every few hours on a particular trigger, you'd want to run that in triggered mode, and you can help keep your costs down. We also have a native orchestration engine for anything, so certainly data pipelines, but kind of anything that you can orchestrate on a data platform you can do with Databricks Workflows. So Workflows gives simple workflow authoring for any practitioner. It gives end-to-end observability with actionable insights, so you can easily troubleshoot. If a job run failed, you can click in and figure out why and fix that before it impacts end users. And it's reliable at scale in production. So just an example of kind of a graphical DAG we have here. You might have some clickstream data that you want to ingest. You want to define certain click patterns as sessions. You want to group that with some data from another source that is your orders data, join that together, and then you've got two separate branches. One would be your BI workflow, where you would aggregate that data in DBT and then send it on to your BI tool of choice, Power BI, Tableau, whatever it is, to have your analysts analyze, and then simultaneously define features and train ML models in MLflow. And Databricks Workflows can handle all that. Here's an example of what the UI looks like. This would be obviously a very simple workflow. It is 2 steps that involves, or it consists of starting a notebook and refreshing a dashboard. But I wanted to show this just to show some of the features or the options on the side that you can configure on the right side. So you can add Git settings, you can add schedules and triggers. Of course, just like with DLT, you can define the compute that you want it to use. Workflows will also have serverless going GA at the same time as DLT in about a month. So that's serverless compute for jobs and notebooks. And then you can configure notifications, permissions, governance, and so on. Just a couple notes on streaming. So talked about how IDC evaluated Databricks incredibly highly on their streaming marketscape. And Databricks has a history of being great for streaming. It's built on Spark Structured Streaming, which is the world's most popular streaming engine. Because it's built on Spark Streaming, but then optimized with things like the Databricks runtime and Photon, query acceleration, and so on, we've kind of supercharged it to help you get the most performance out of your streaming workloads. So it allows you to do streaming and batch very simply in one platform with unified batch and streaming APIs. Spark is also very reliable, and it handles all of the automatic checkpointing and recovery for you, so you don't have to do that manually. And then it's very easy, just like with DLT, which is built on Spark Structured Streaming, it's very easy to adjust whether you want to optimize for latency, for maybe use cases where more real-time data is actually very important, versus you want to optimize for cost. Where latency isn't as much of a concern and you just want to keep costs down. And streaming workloads have been growing exponentially on the Databricks platform for the last several years. We're still growing at over 100% year over year. We're approaching 20 million weekly streaming job runs, and we're processing exabytes of data per day in streaming fashion. So I want to talk about some of the really exciting stuff that we're doing in terms of data intelligence, where we are building generative AI into the platform. Most of this is incredibly actionable today. You can go start using Databricks Assistant the moment you get out of here. There's a couple ways that we are building data intelligence into the platform. The first would be for boosting user productivity. I'm going to dive into that a little more on the next couple slides. And then the other would be kind of behind the scenes auto-optimizing your workloads through things like intelligent workload management and intelligent orchestration and flow optimization. And these are kind of part and parcel with serverless. So when that is GA, we're gonna write and talk a lot more about that and how we've built data intelligence into serverless compute. So let's talk about boosting user productivity. This is really exciting. There's some really cool stuff here. The first is intelligent search. No longer is it super difficult or cumbersome to find the data assets that you need. You can simply enter a search term, like in this case, food inspections, and Databricks will instantly query up any tables or notebooks or queries or past job runs or tables or files where that term appears. So you can easily find where those data assets are without having any advanced knowledge of the topography of your data. And then Databricks Assistant is probably the most widespread data intelligence feature that we have today. Databricks Assistant is awesome. It is a natural language chat interface that is built into every part of the platform. So whether you're writing queries or building a data pipeline, there's a Databricks Assistant experience for you. Oh, thanks. And Databricks Assistant can do so many things. There's a lot of documentation and blogs on this, so I recommend checking those out. But Databricks Assistant can help you generate code. It can help you optimize existing code. Raju's going to talk a little bit about how they've done that with Lexmark. So you have some sprawling legacy code. It can help you optimize that. It can help you fix errors in your code. You can do auto documentation of your code, and you can do all of this in natural language. And something really cool about Databricks Assistant is that it taps into current Databricks documentation and the knowledge base. So it is, you can be assured that the information you're getting is always kind of current best practices as declared by Databricks for how to work with different parts of the platform. So overall, this just makes the user experience much easier. It's helping democratize data engineering best practices, certainly for data engineers, but beyond data engineering into other parts of your data teams. Then just a couple notes on kind of the solid open foundation that data engineering is built on at Databricks. So again, serverless compute is a really big deal. We've put a lot of effort into making the entire Databricks Data Intelligence Platform serverless over the last couple of years. So of course, Databricks SQL was kind of our first serverless surface area, but now starting next month, you'll be able to access generally available serverless compute for jobs, notebooks, and DLT. Serverless is amazing because it gives you fast startups. You don't have to wait for resources to spin up. It's super cost efficient with smart auto scaling. That's that area I mentioned with data intelligence a couple slides prior. And it's stable and secured by default. Then Unity Catalog is our governance engine. So Unity Catalog gives you unified governance across all of your data and AI assets. So single permission model, one centralized governance framework, gives you AI-powered monitoring, observability, and lineage. So you can know that your data is trusted because we give you lineage from source data to final dashboard or final model. It's very easy to trace that lineage. If there's an issue, you can troubleshoot easily through that lineage. And then we also deliver secure open data sharing. So it's easy to share data assets with other members of your organization. And then Delta Lake is the open format storage layer that this is all built on. Delta Lake is amazing. We are continuing to invest heavily in Delta Lake. With the recent acquisition announcement around Tabular, there's also some very exciting developments on the horizon for Iceberg support, but Delta Lake is not going anywhere. Delta Lake delivers high reliability and performance. With Delta Lake Uniform, you get automatic instant translation across formats, so compatible with other formats, and it is open source. And then finally, we are integrated with the tools that you know and love. So we have many native offerings for things like orchestration and modeling and business intelligence and so on. But we also partner well with other tools in the ecosystem. So if you like DBT, if you like Matillion, if you like using Click for data replication, any of these things, we work very well with other parts of the data ecosystem. And we try to partner well. So that's it from my part of the talk until I'm going to wrap us up at the end. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Raju to talk a little bit about Lexmark's implementation.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was pretty deep, guys. Before we start, welcome again, good morning. For me to steer the conversation accordingly, I think I need to get some pulse in the audience here. So maybe since this is a data topic, I'm gonna bring up 3 big roles, and I want to see, feel free to raise your hands if you're in the vicinity of these roles, right? Let's see how many of us are core data engineers. Wow, a lot of them. Let's grade it up. How about data scientists? Oh, there's few. And the last, many people get shy away with this, data security engineers. Anybody here? Oh, there's one, okay. That's the only one. The rest of you who basically qualify under not any of these umbrellas, I've asked my friend Scott to kind of lock down the doors. No more time for release, right? And you're going to bear through some of the roasting that I'm going to take you for next 15, 20 minutes. So again, this is Raju Mudunuri. I lead data solutions and delivery organization at Lexmark. And we're going to see how we have evolved and kept our data engineering journey here. I'm going to quickly skim through a few slides talking about what we are and what we do, and then look into a really interesting one of the use cases out of our book of work to go through from business as well as technical challenges and talk about the solution, right? That's what we are here for, is all the interesting stuff that we have laid down there. And then we're gonna look into some of the business outcomes that we have already realized in our journey. And we'll finally wrap up with a quick 2-minute demo from our production environments. With that being said, oops, I skipped this slide. All right, so Lexmark, right, who we are essentially a global cloud-enabled imaging and technology company. Now, when I say imaging, the first thing jumps off with Lexmark is obviously the printers and all the parts of printers that we manufacture, and we through our partners and through our own facilities. But we are also one of the leaders and pioneers of something called IoT, even before it was a thing at all in the industry, right? We've been in existence from 7 decades, and through our journey, what we have really mastered is the skill of advanced data analytics and cutting-edge technologies like AI and ML practices that enable our customers to realize a lot of business value. And we're turning more and more aggressively into a technology company from our decades of experience that we have. You might have heard about our one of the top offerings. When I say printers, right, it's not just like installing one, but it's across the globe, and each one of them are connected, and we can remotely control and monitor the data and take care of our customer needs in various facets. And we're going to talk through those in detail. Managed print services, like you see on the screen, is probably one of the best offering that we have. Think about it as more of a subscription, like as you've subscribed Netflix and stuff. People subscribe printers through us. And then the expansive intellectual property that we have, right, decades of property, we are applying that to modernize and come back with more innovative cloud-based technologies and solutions. That's what our Optra IoT basically have. 2 big Optra Edge, which is our edge to cloud technology, and Optra IoT platform, which kind of gives you the edge, drives out cost, improves efficiency, and help customers tap into new revenue streams. This kind of shows our global reach. You see we have 7 million plus devices spread across the globe, 170 plus countries. 1.5 million are completely connected fleet, right? You can think about this as more of, let's say all the BMW cars are connected, right? It's the same technology that we have implemented in a lot of other places across 280 countries. And I do want to shout out huge for our long-standing loyal partners. We have about 6,000 plus channel partners that we do distribute our businesses through. We are located at Lexington, Kentucky, our global headquarters, and then we have offices in Geneva, Switzerland, and then Singapore. We take pride. We are about 9,000 plus employees now across 45 different countries. And then in the bottom part, we probably cannot see there, but it's a lot of other development centers. This is kind of the footprint that we have customers across every single industry, right? It includes from healthcare to education to army to federal governments, retail, manufacturing, financial institutes. You name it, any vertical, you will see that there will be customers like Apple, Walmart, Walgreens, IKEA, Target. I can keep on going. All of them are actually customers for us, right? And now let's get to the bottom of it, right? This is the real talk that we want to get in, is see how Lexmark had this strategy of, I would like to call it as a data flywheel, where we kind of continuously take the feedback from our customers, and with our in-house engineering expertise, we build and improve our solutions and our services continually to on top of what we already have, right? And these are 4 big pillars that kind of are our target state, where we want to get, right? One of the big things that we have to constantly evolve ourselves is treating data as truly as an asset, right? Basically, harness the value of data that we have. And we collect tons and tons and tons of data through all of our printers, right? We know the patterns, we know the locations, we know several things about the customers. And then obviously one of the things was operational efficiency, right? How fast we can time to market. Can we optimize our pipelines? One of the other thought processes is our data investments that we are into our data journey from last few years. We want to kind of make sure that we truly get the business value out of it, right? The return on investments. And ultimately, not the least, but as we are in pursuit of building a data foundation that would kind of position us for all the future opportunities. It could be, things like data monetization, productization, that we are already in that path to create several products. With that being said, I wanted to bring up one of the several hundreds of use cases that we work on. This is one of the projects maybe called as hardware placement optimization, right? Essentially, it's how do I determine where should I place my printer? It's cutting through paths to market, through which vendor, through which partner, and then the distribution tiers like distribution 1, distribution 2, and this is across the globe, right? To find that sweet spot where we can place our hardware and have most of the pages printed, right? The more the pages we print, that's the better ROI for Lexmark, because throughout the life of the printer, right? But unfortunately, the situations, the world's evolving, and this imaging industry is actually trending flat, more so post-COVID, more so with the digital efforts, right? Everything is going digital. But at the same time, we still have so much of huge market space that we can grow multiple times, even with our current largest footprint in the industry. So now the question is, how do we optimize this, and how do we have that efficiency to make sure, right, that all falls as a responsibility for the data, right? How do we harness the vast variety of data that we have and kind of draw the intelligence out of it to find where should I place my printer, right? Essentially, that's what this use case is. This probably just to show you kind of like before and after. This was before our digital journey. We had tons and tons of technology stacks, AWS, Azure, several tools and technologies as you see on this. If you look at right off the bat, right, one of the worst things that could happen with this kind of data flow reference architecture was we had copies of the same data persisted across different technologies, right? It's multiple copies within the same company. I can see like my source, I can see by blob storage, and that too in the proprietary. Then I'm taking it to my warehouse, then I'm taking it another copy into my Power BI, one of the visualization tools there. There's so much of silo, and all of a sudden, right, you realize it's a nightmare for the security guys. How do you patch, how do you compliance and stay aligned with the overall data governance? So basically, we kind of took all these not to do things, right, and the business challenges, right, because essentially, unless we understand the tenets of the business and apply the technology, it's of no good, right? So here's basically our blueprint that we thought, like, okay, let's consider all these points, boil into, and kind of cut down the complexity, right? Reduce the complexity, make it simplification, and have this blueprint so that I can take my strategy and implement it actually on the ground. And this is already in flight from last several years. And ultimately, the goal was to kind of form this unified, persistent layer of data that can serve both of my business intelligence as well as my data science community, both internal stakeholders, external customers, for everybody, right? So we have been hugely leaning into Microsoft Azure, more so from last few years. And then we are a great partner to Databricks. So we have adopted these tech stacks. And you see that we have a huge intellectual property with decades of experience on data. We've taken our own in-house engineering because we feel that's the fastest path to go to market. Once you get the feedback from the customer, we don't have to really depend on a third party here, right? So we in-house built a framework on top of the already capable Databricks Data Intelligence Platform to make it even better, right? And that's what we call Optra Data Accelerator right here. So you'll notice this is straightforward and simple, right? I'm kidding. It is overwhelming. It's quite a handful of pictures there. But I'll try to break it down, take a stab on simplifying in steps 0 through 6, right? If you notice, step 0 is more in the bottom, kind of all your foundational, building that unified governance, building that security and compliance and CI/CD and all the nicer things, right? But on the top, you'll see that we have one stream data we are capturing from all of our devices across the world. And then we have our own in-house data sets, legacy. You can think about CRMs, D365s. Our ERP is primarily on SAP system. We have MDM platforms, the direct manufacturing plants data that we capture from our own plants out there in Boulder. And then whereas in Mexico, we have our own facilities. So we capture a lot of the content, right? Invoicing the parts that go into, we are one of the OEMs in the industry. So tons of data, right, that we ingest now through our own inbuilt ODA, which is basically a software as a service as also product that we are selling outside for other customers. One of the examples would be Dexis. It's a medical, healthcare customer. So you can see, we have both now streaming capabilities and also the batch capabilities all under the same framework. So, and this is completely like no code kind of thing. So you can set up these pipelines in a few minutes, if not seconds, right? And then once the data persistent layer, we are using Gen 2 as our object storage and kind of making it one uniform place for both our visualization as well as our data science teams. And you see that we have all of this refinement also built on the Databricks, taking advantage of the data intelligence platform. All the cleansing that you would do, all the standardizations, applying all the data quality rules, right? And then integrating, basically joining all your disparate sources of data, and then aggregating it, rolling it up, kind of making it nice for further curation if needed to in the feature store that takes part in the science, right? ML model and all that stuff in the data science world. But this is kind of our overall footprint that we've already in the journey. And last few years, I would like to share some of the insights of the outcomes that we have. Biggest that I can see is, the business continuity, the recovery time objective, RTO, for those of you engineering folks who are familiar with that. We had seen about 95% gain. That's huge, right? And then, obviously, that has enabled us to kind of deliver projects time to market, realize the value so quickly. Ultimately, where it leads to is your new revenue channels. Just last year, we are upwards of 2 million, which was our first year with this new solution on this one single use case, right? There's several hundreds. And then this year, we're expecting at least 3 times more growth on that side. Along with the business, I also had technical gains, right? All of your operational overhead that we had with the legacy is now cut down. And our ingestion, streaming, everything has multiplied, tremendous acceleration because of the ODA product that we built on top of the Databricks. And then obviously, we have the now unified governance. And one of the cool things is community of learning, right? We have been able to partner internally with our own employees as well as some external players. And we are kind of forming that community of influence to kind of keep on challenging each other and have that innovation culture, that data-driven culture That's like basically the core of what we do here at Lexmark. With that being said, I think I need to play this video here really quick. This is basically,
It's up there.
is that playing?
Just
Nope.
Facebook.
Okay. All right, so this is kind of like a quick screenshots from a production Databricks workspace. I'm going to quickly show you some of the Unity Catalog features, user access management, and then we're going to intertwine that with the data intelligence engine, which is essentially a Gen AI sitting on top of our Lexmark contextual metadata. It can interpret that deeply and apply it across the board, right? With that being said, let's jump into the prod workspace, and I'm going to go directly to the catalog with the production delta table, which is the final resultant table from the use case that we were talking about. You will notice out of the box, right, obviously the data elements and data types, but now with the data intelligence, the really cool thing is that you will see the actual definition of the table, kind of business glossary, and that's available at the column levels also individually. Your business data stewards can actually apply and edit that. One of the other cool things that I found was the permissions place, right? You can import your existing security groups via SCIM protocols into the Unity catalog, and then you can practice your fine-grained user access management, right? You can get to row level, column level, even to the cell level, which is really, really very impressive feature out of the box from Unity catalog. One of the most, obviously standout feature is the ability to lineage. You can click on the delta tables, right? You can blow it up to the column levels, and then you can easily traverse up and down to see the full lineage. Plus you can click on any of there and you can dive into the ML code behind the scenes, right? One cool feature here, we were able to pull up like hundreds of lines of a legacy SQL code, and we wanted to kind of make it more efficient. So we make use of the assistant and prompted it a simple thing to rewrite the query. It's actually able to ingest that whole query and come back with the feedback, right? If you notice the second feedback here, avoid multiple subqueries with union and instead use inner join, which is a pretty deep data engineering tip. And then it also gives you a fully functional SQL, which you run with the legacy. We found instantly about 27% gain in cost and efficiency. One other feature, now your non-programmer business stakeholders can actually type an English statement here, right? Find account names with countries and with printers starting with MS-71. It's actually able to contextually generate the SQL query that you can easily now paste it and get the results in like few seconds there, right? With that, we are towards the end. On behalf of entire Lexmark, we are really, really appreciative of the fact that you guys are giving us opportunity to share some of the details. I'll get back to you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Raju. I love that demo. That's so cool. I wanted to just close us out by showing you some of the deeper dive sessions that we have the rest of the week. So tomorrow there's a couple DLT sessions. There's an intro to DLT and a DLT in-depth session. If you are an intermediate or experienced data engineer and you want to start using DLT or get best practices today, I would not miss that session. That's going to be Michael Armbrust, who essentially created Delta Live Tables, and Paul Lapis, the primary PM. That's going to be incredible. On Wednesday, we also have What's New with Databricks Workflows with some demos, as well as an update on Project Lightspeed, which is our data streaming initiative where we're kind of bringing streaming into the next generation.
That's a cool one, don't miss it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's Databricks Head of Streaming and Lead PM for that one. And then Thursday, so we'll have the keynotes Wednesday and Thursday, but Thursday is when the data engineering keynote will be. And then we also have those really exciting ingestion announcements in the ingestion session in the afternoon. So that's it for Raju and myself. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We hope you all have an awesome rest of Summit. Yeah, thank you. And please fill out your session surveys wherever you find that. And here's some other kind of next steps for the rest of the Summit. So thank you.
Thank you all.